And if she thinks that this show is going to bring a burst of life into their marriage, which is what she said in a People magazine, we're better than ever right now. And it's because Harry loves to see me in my passion project. It's like he loves to see you in your passion project. Does he also love to see you creating an emotional affair with the director? Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Cheer Denise. Today we're going to be doing the 6th episode of Meghan's show, With Love, Meghan. And I can't believe we've gotten this far. We are going to be doing episodes 6 and 7 and 8 this week, and then we're done with season 1. But apparently season 2 is coming out, which I just can't even believe that she managed to get a second season. But of course, we also know that she filmed 16 episodes, and Netflix is just releasing the second half and calling it a second season. So it's going to be more of the same. The trajectory of this pitiful show has been so bad. It's been so boring. I mean, it started out with a couple of episodes. It had a couple of moments in it to talk about. The moment with Mindy, the moment with Roy Choi. But then after that, it's just been dull recipes with dull people. And the only thing it has going for it is that the setting in California is really beautiful. The production value on this show is very high. But she is boring. The content is boring. The guests are boring. And it's just unfortunate because there was so much money thrown into this project. She is an actress. Can't she act interesting? No. So in this episode, she is having 3 friends over for Mahjong. Okay, Meghan. And I know Mahjong has had like a resurgence and, all the youngsters are playing Mahjong again. So she is having her 3 friends over, from all different walks of life. And she says that one of the great things about learning a new skill set with friends is just that. It's just a joy. It's a joy to learn new things in life. She says that in every episode, and it's such a dumb thing. I mean, what else is there in life? Especially as an adult. I mean, you've done all the things. You've gotten married. You've had your kids. You know what your career is going to be like. What else is there for you to do except for learning new things? That's what being alive is. Would I do the same stupid thing day in and day out and call that a life? I mean, it's like, what are you talking about, Meghan? Why do you keep saying this like it's profound wisdom? Anyway, overall, I would say that this episode is a 0 out of 10 as far as interest value goes, but we have a couple of side plots going on that we need to talk about, and I am for real, you guys. What is going on with her and that director? I'm like not even joking at this point, because I've seen all along her dependence on him, and he's over there, interjecting himself in the scene. Not necessarily because I think it was his desire and his will to be part of the show, but because she can't manage without him asking her questions, getting her talking, trying to make her comfortable. That relationship has become integral to the success of this show. And as it becomes a sort of a key feature of the show, this conversation, this dialogue, this relationship between her and the director, it becomes like startlingly obvious to me that she's sort of flirtatious with him and that he's that way back to her. And I am telling you right now that if I were Harry, I'd be up on that set. What in the world's going on around here? Meghan, I don't know why you are making sandwiches for him, mandwiches as you call them. I don't know why you're doing that or standing by the sidelines looking so excited as he eats your fare, but I thought that was something we shared. I don't understand what's happening here. Because really and truly, she is, as I've mentioned before, she's constantly sharing food with him, tidbits. Taste this. I want you to have this. I'm going to make you this. And there's lots of other people standing around that she doesn't offer drinks to, food to, snacks to, tidbits, nothing. It's also very strange to me that she consistently calls this guy, whose name is Michael apparently, she calls him Brooklyn. I don't know if he's from Brooklyn. I don't know if that's an inside joke. It's weird to have a nickname for somebody. And to use it openly, when we all know his name is Michael, to use it consistently, it seems very flirty to me. But we're going to talk about that today as I see it more and more on screen, because it's something that I think we should talk about. And it is something that I think is very weird. And I had stopped watching a lot of commentators talk about the show, one, because I'm just inundated. I cannot watch it and then listen to other people talk about it. I can't. But I also want my thoughts to be fresh, and I'm not just regurgitating and repeating a bunch of stuff that other people have said. So it could be that everyone's like a buzz, like, what's going on with her and that guy? And I'm sure I'm not saying anything other people aren't saying. But I really want to talk about it. What is the deal? And would you put yourself in this situation of Harry? His wife is on set with this crew, and it seems very apparent that, your wife can't seem to manage it without this guy, and he's suddenly interjecting himself, and now she's making him food, and she's, being flirty with him and offering him this, that, and the other. And wouldn't you feel a little bit like, I don't like the way that feels? I would. And maybe I'm just a jealous bitch that can't handle life. And the rest of you are like, whatever, that's just the kind of stuff that happens, You're just, it's obviously just a work relationship. But you guys, work relationships are all the time turning into things that they shouldn't be. Because you do come to rely on these people, and you do look at these people as individuals to help you get you through the day, and they're the ones that are making you laugh. And this guy is throwing compliments at her right, left, and center when he need not. Okay, so we're going to talk about that, but let's go through the episode, and as we come to these moments, we'll talk more about it, and then we'll also talk about it at the end. Okay, long intro, I'm sorry, let's get on to the episode. This episode, she is having friends over. She's having 3 friends over to play Mahjong. Yes, the children are playing Mahjong once again. And it's all about making order out of chaos, as everyone says. Everyone who plays Mahjong now is always saying that, well, the reason that we love to do it, and they say in this episode too, is it's all about bringing order out of chaos. It's very, very, very cathartic, and it's just this thing that you can do, and you can play, and you can talk to your friends while you create order. I'm like, does anybody want to help me with my closets? We could do that too. Anyway, it starts out with her talking about how she's going to do a taco bar for her friends that night. Well, she's not. A local chef's going to come over and do it all, and she'll take credit for it. But that's the plan. So that night they're going to do it. And then she's going to need nourishment, though, because it's going to be a long day of watching somebody else cook and take credit for it. So she opens up the episode by making breakfast for herself. She's cutting the loaf of artisan bread. She, of course, makes avocado toast, because what else could she eat? She's only from California. And so she's making her avocado toast. I would have liked her to toast that bread a little bit better. It looks like she's putting avocado on, a slice of bread, not toast, but whatever. We all like our bread toasted in various ways. I don't know how much her veneers can get through on that toast. So she makes the avocado toast. She makes the egg. It wouldn't be Meghan food if she didn't finish it off with a sprinkle of flowers. Of course. I don't understand it at this point. It's not special anymore, Meghan, if you use it on everything. And if that's the whole point of the flower sprinkles, for this special moment to elevate things, she must have used the word elevate 50 bajillion times. Could I gift you a thesaurus? Could you please learn another word for elevated? Is there no other term you could use? Aren't you tired of hearing yourself talk about elevated? But you can't call everything elevated by flower sprinkles. If you've elevated everything, then where's the elevation now? Do you know what I'm saying? So she makes the avocado toast. She puts the flower sprinkles on it. And then stupid Brooklyn /Michael / who is this director who's interjected himself into the show says, I am not mad at that breakfast. What a stupid thing to say. Can I just go on a tangent, please? I hate it when people say, I am not mad about, and what they really mean is they like it. Just say you like it. I don't need these mental gymnastics to figure out what you're saying. So, I am not mad about that breakfast. So then she's like, I'm going to make you a sandwich. I'm going to make you a manwich. She literally says manwich. I hate it. She's going to make him a manwich. Proceeds to do the thing that to me seems so stereotypical of what a woman does for a man that she cares about. She makes him a sandwich. And I'm just like, could we be any more on the nose here with whatever is happening between the two of you? But she's over there cooking bacon. She's frying eggs. She's slicing bread. She's slicing this beautiful heirloom tomato. And she makes him this big sandwich. And she's like, here you go. And she slides it across the table to him. And he's taking off his headset because he's really going to get in on it. And she's standing there and she is just so proud. She is as proud as can be. And she says that one of the things that she loves to do is to cook for people. She says this in this scene. I love to cook for people. It's such a joy for me. Honestly, it's my love language. It's my love language, cooking for other people. And then she proceeds to slide a sandwich across the table to someone who isn't her husband. What if Harry had been in that scene and she's like, let's make breakfast together. And she made him a sandwich. But no, she's making a sandwich for this rando who has interjected himself into the program just so she can keep talking, because he knows that if he doesn't, she's got nothing to say. I'm not blaming him. He's trying to make a show here, and she is such a dullard, such a dolt, that she can't keep going and can't keep talking and can't explain the recipe to us and can't talk about her life because everything in her life is a big fat secret, that he's got to keep asking her these inane questions and try to get her to keep talking and trying to, get the ball rolling. So now she's totally dependent on him and now owes him a sandwich, apparently. After she undresses him with her eyes while she watches him eat the sandwich that she made, then we cut to the way back time machine and she's gonna go make some potato chips. You guys, the sandwich scene was weird to me. I will go to my grave saying it was weird. I don't care. I don't care about what anybody says. You as a woman cooking for a man, I have never, ever in my day met a man who does not like a woman to cook for him. Never met it. I've never met a woman who can cook who doesn't know that that's a secret power. That she can get what she wants out of life if she can just cook a little something, something for him. And I am telling you right now that Meghan loves to cook for people, not because she loves to bring them joy, but because the accolades of people thinking you're so great because you fed them is a great feeling. It does feel good. I like to feed people, but I'm not going to lie to you and say it's because I care so much about them. It honestly is nice when people appreciate the efforts that you went through. And people raving about your cooking is probably some of the best compliments you can get. And so this little moment between her and Brooklyn/Michael/director is very strange to me. And I think that I think the necessity for her to make him a sandwich, not even like slide him in a little tidbit here and there as she's been doing. Not even pour him a cup of coffee because she's having a cup of coffee, but to literally make a whole scene about making him a sandwich. It's gone too far, you guys. Okay, back to her making some chips. So she says that they're going to do a healthy chip option because God forbid you have your friends over and you guys kind of let your hair down. We need healthy chip options. So she's going to make some plantain chips. And so she's, wrestling with the skin off of these plantains and she's slicing them up. And she's talking about how she's going to bake these in the oven and she's going to season them first and she's sprinkling her little seasonings on it. And she says that she's going to do some cumin. You guys, Meghan knows about two things. She knows about flour sprinkles and she knows about cumin. She's been talking about cumin since the day she first entered Screen. There's a video from her way back in the day when she was on Suits. I think she was on Suits then. And she is with Hilary Duff's sister, whatever her name is, so you can understand. It's like the two most D-list actresses ever go to Brooklyn to try pickles. And I've shown you guys this clip before on this channel, but we'll watch it again. Meghan is over the moon about the cumin.
I put fresh oregano, garlic, onion, a lot of cumin seed.
Bottoms up. There we go. The taste of cumin.
Better and better as you
go. Smokiness.
It's usually a texture thing for people.
People don't like that sliminess on the inside of okra. Yeah. I love it.
And the same thing in this show. She's over there breathing deeply of the cumin. So smoky. And that's how she always describes the cumin, as being so smoky. And do you know how I describe cumin? Cumin smells like an extremely bad case of BO. I use cumin all the time, but I recognize when I open that jar, I'm always like, Anyway, and I keep going, and I cook with it all the time. But I'm not going to tell you that it smells smoky. If that's what you want to tell yourself, sure. What it really smells like is BO, and you know it. Anyway, she makes her plantain chips, and she's sprinkling in some chili lime. And she tells us then, I'm going to be really careful with that because we all have different palates. And so, I'm just going to put in a few seasonings here just to make them interesting, but I'm going to be careful with this. And I thought to myself then, one of your friends doesn't like spicy food, do they? And you don't like that about them. I knew it then that that's how it was. And do you know why? Because Meghan is obsessed with you knowing that she can handle spicy food. She seems to wear this as a badge of honor. And throughout all of these episodes, it's all about the spice. It's all about talking about how she likes the spice, testing if other people like the spice. I've seen this multiple times. We saw this in the Roy Choi episode. One of their sauces was quite spicy, and so she had tried it. Of course, she could handle it. And then she goes over to Brooklyn/Michael/director and tells him to try it, all so that she can laugh at him because I don't think he could handle the spice like her. And she's like, "Your glasses are fogging up." Oh my gosh. It's spicy, isn't it? It's a little bit spicy for you. I can tell. Oh my gosh, I can tell. And it's like, oh my gosh, Meghan, why are you bringing Michael/Brooklyn/director into this? And then making fun of him because he can't handle the heat. Then, of course, they go into the garden. She's trying to impress Roy Choi with the spicy pepper that she tried. Of course, it wasn't spicy when he tried it. Okay. But then, we have her when she's with Delphi at the very end, have a monton of the spicy chilies. She just loves spice. She's already been talking about, I need to do a whole episode on how much I like spice. It's spice with her. And there's something about people who really like spicy food. And this happens to be something that I've noticed with people who are like foodies, that if you do not also like spice, they kind of look at you like, oh, your palate sucks. Like, you've got such like a white person palate, you know? And we're going to see that by the end of the episode. But I knew it was coming when she said, not all of us like a lot of spice. We all have different palates. And I knew then that she's going to call out a friend later. Okay, so she makes her plantain chips so they can have a healthy chip option. Once she's done with her plantain chips, she looks great. But she says she's got to freshen up because she's got the chef coming over. And you're thinking to yourself, what are you even talking about? You look fine. Freshen up for who? Is Harry coming over? Like, is your husband going to come by? Well, who are you freshening up for? You look fine. Your hair's done, your makeup's done, your outfit's great. Freshen up. Like, she keeps talking about freshening up every time, every scene that she's going to change. I got to freshen up. Is it the movie from the 1950s? You got to go powder your nose? Like, what are you talking about? You got to freshen up. You look fine. You know, maybe you put some shoes on your feet. If you want to do something to have somebody over, maybe cover those bad boys up. Anyway, she goes and completely changed her outfit. Well, apparently, while she was freshening up, the chef has already got to the house because the next cut is him standing in the kitchen without her. And then she wanders in and she's like, oh, hey. And I'm like, who organized this? This is a weird scene. But anyway, he is this local chef and he's going to do chicken tikka, I think, with her. And then they're going to make ceviche. I find the dynamic between those two very awkward. Now, she doesn't know what to say to him. He's not like super chatty Cathy, and she is awkward as hell all the time. So the way she gets around that is by being a little bit flirtatious. And honestly, this freshening up business she did was weird because now she's wearing this very sleek, sleeveless black. I don't know if it's a black dress, but it almost looks like a fitted black like cocktail dress. Don't know why she thought she needed to wear that for the chef. She's only cooking in her own kitchen. But anyway, the way that she just like sort of like in the kitchen, like asking him questions and just like, she's like, so I didn't know what to do. So then I thought, oh, it'd be so fun to have a taco bar. But then what am I going to do? I don't know how to make ceviche. But then I thought of you. Like, it's just this very weird body language that she's got going on. And I really think it all stems from the fact that she doesn't know what to say and he doesn't know what to say. So she's just trying to create some kind of chemistry. And the only way she knows how to do that is to throw herself at a man. Well, they, as they're cooking, they're going to start out with the chicken tikka and they've got to make some chicken broth. They're going to cook their chicken in the broth and then he's got this tomato-based sauce thing going off on the side and then they're going to shred the chicken from the stock and put it into the tomato sauce. But as he's showing her how to get the chicken going in the stock, she's very clearly disappointed. You know, I mean, so all you're doing is making a chicken stock. Carrots, onions, celery. Oh, so a mere po. Okay, well, okay, so just a basic. This is basic, right? Okay. And then he says, okay, now we're going to make the tikka sauce. And he's like, got the tomatoes and everything on. She's like, okay, all right, okay, that's what I'm excited about. I want to learn that. And it's like, why don't you just shut the hell up, Meghan? Because all of this is important. Because without the stock, you can't make the other thing. And what I find very frustrating about Meghan is the fact that, and you see this throughout all the episodes, especially when she's got somebody in there who knows their stuff, she's very intimidated that the viewer is going to finally discover that she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. So she's constantly talking over them or trying to get to points of interest or to explain details about his process or her process before they can get to it because she's got to let the viewer know, I already know this. I know the terms, I know the techniques, I know why things are happening, I know the science behind it. And the constant like running to get to the point that she could just generously let her guest explain since they are the one that you are hosting on the show. You could let them talk and tell about why the recipe works. But no. Meghan is so intimidated by having actual skill sets in the kitchen that she's got to talk over and make sure she gets to all the points of interest before the other person does. It's very insecure. It's very annoying. As they're talking, she has this wild take, and I just don't know how she knows this. They're talking about the chicken tikka, and she says, where did you learn this recipe? Maybe she thought he was going to tell some tale of his childhood. And he's like, actually, one of my chefs made this, and I hadn't had it or this iteration of it before, and I really loved it. So I learned the recipe from him. And he goes on to talk about how they were having a staff meal, and this chicken tikka was served at the staff meal, and he loved it. And that was his experience with this specific recipe. Meghan jumps in, always trying to act like she's got an in. That is Meghan's thing. And this, I mean, of course, this is the way any fraudster behaves. they immediately want to create buy-in with you, and they immediately try to interject themselves in your life experiences by being like, we share the same things. She did this with Roy Choi when she was talking about his Korean culture, her experience with Korean culture. She did this with her friend from Argentina. She'd only been there for a couple of weeks, but this girl lived, grew up, and still has a very strong Argentinian accent. She is Argentinian through and through. But Meghan tries to immediately create this depth of her character by stealing Delphi's experience and immediately like, oh yeah, like I understand everything about Argentina because I was there for a hot second as an intern, and I in this context as well, this guest is talking about his staff meals at the restaurant, and she's like, and staff meals are always so much better than what is ever served in the restaurant. Like whatever service provides, it's never as amazing and brilliant as what is just cooked in the kitchen for staff meals. And I think it's probably because there's not as much pressure and just love is involved. And you know what? I bet there's music playing while they're cooking, and it creates, these beautiful meals, And so I would love to be at a staff meal with you guys. I would love to get to come to one of those. There's just so many problems with what she said. Number one, what are you doing insulting these chefs and what they're preparing and putting on their menu and serving you? Like, what even is that about? Secondly, explain to me what life experience you've had where you would have any knowledge whatsoever about what's happening at a staff meal at a restaurant. You don't know. When have you, I'm sorry. I don't think that when you were working at Galaxy Donuts, they were exactly having staff meals back there by the fry pit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? You don't know, but you're trying to inject yourself in his life experience to create buy-in so that you have chemistry that will never happen with the two of you. Anyway, my other problem with what she said is that what is her obsession with music playing when you're doing an activity? Remember with Roy Choi, she's like, what kind of music do you like? And that devolved into a whole thing. And something that I neglected to say was that when she was making the flower arrangements in the previous episode, Michael/Brooklyn/director interjects himself and says, do you like to listen to music when you do this? And she's like, oh yeah, I do. I love it. I'm really into 70s rock, and I like yacht rock. And she goes on to like talk about all this stuff, French dinner music. And I'm like, wait, what? Yacht rock? What is that? Yacht rock? Where did you pick that up, Meghan? Anyway, apparently on this show, even as they were filming it, she needed the music blaring the whole time. And Michael/Brooklyn/director was constantly being like, hey, we got to tone it down. We got to turn that music down. We got to, quiet on set, And so just for her to say, oh, the food probably turned out really good because you were playing music. Like, Meghan, I know that music can create all sorts of feelings and, and call us back to memories and all sorts of things. It's possible. Music is a very mysterious thing, but music does not make the food better. Like, what is she even talking about? What is her obsession with this? After she gets done insulting the food at most restaurants she's been at, she is now called over to the stove because they're going to fish that chicken out of that broth. They're going to finish their chicken tikka sauce, and they've got to shred the chicken first in order to put it into the tomato sauce. Okay, well, once again, Meghan, have you ever been in a kitchen? Because he puts the chicken breast onto a cutting board, and he's like, okay, now you shred that, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do this. And she has one fork that she's like raking along the chicken. And he has to come over and be like, okay, well, wait. I usually do it is I actually have two forks, one to hold the chicken, one to use as sort of a rake to shred that chicken. She's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, Meghan, shredding chicken is like, I mean, have you ever cut up chicken for your kid? Like, have you never made a sauce that you had to shred the chicken for? Have you ever made chicken salad? Like, what? Like, this is the basic stuff. Who stands there with a chicken breast, just raking it with one fork and trying to get anything done? Who? I don't know. Well, Meghan does, even though she loves to cook and she's always in the kitchen. At some point between the shredding of the chicken with a single fork and the moving on to making the ceviche, we have a go back in time scene where she is talking about all the citrus that they have at their house, and they just have so much of it that they're constantly bringing bags to the neighbors, driving down to the food bank. You guys want some oranges, lemons, limes? Got to keep you guys scurvy free on the streets. And she says that one of the ways that she deals with the influx the overload of citrus is to dehydrate it. And she says that her mom got them a dehydrator for Christmas. So it's been lots of fun because she's been way more into the dehydrating process than she expected to be. So having an actual dehydrator makes that so much easier, although you can just do it in the oven. So she's cutting up all of her citrus, and it looks really pretty, and then she ends up having all these jars of dried citrus. And that's going to come in later in the episode, but we had to fit that in somewhere, After she gets done dehydrating stuff with the present she got for Christmas that her mom gave her, because she's really close to her mom, you guys. You guys say she doesn't care about her family, but guess what? Her mom loves her so much she got her a dehydrator for Christmas. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. We go back to her in the kitchen with the local chef. And this time they're going to make ceviche. And I don't think that I realized, in fact, I know I didn't realize. Why am I saying I don't think I realized? I had no idea what ceviche was. I'd heard the word, I had no idea. So ceviche is like raw fish. Sometimes it's with raw shrimp. They're doing it with raw halibut, and you end up cooking it by tossing it in citrus juices. And that citrus, I guess, is supposed to cook it. I don't know the right term. Meghan does, but I don't. And he's making the citrus sauce in the blender, and he taps down the top of the blender, and she's like, what did that blender ever do to you? It's just like, Meghan, it's just so awkward. It's like she's just trying to create this bond with this guy. And it's just awkward because he is not a talker and he is uncomfortable. He also doesn't seem like he kind of got the message on what his role was supposed to be. He's supposed to be highlighting Meghan all the way. It's Meghan's show, and he doesn't need to say things like use 2 forks to shred some chicken, or to say things like, it kind of seems like you like to cook. I mean, what are you talking about? It kind of seems like I like to cook. I am the queen of the kitchen, okay? I have my own cooking show. Why do you think you're here, sir? So it's like he didn't get the message. He was supposed to fawn all over her, and this is hard for her. So anyway, she's trying to create some kind of dynamic between them. And so when he taps down the top of the blender, it's all this sort of flirty banter. What did that top ever do to you? And it's just like, can we just be done with this? Can you just make the ceviche so we can stop the awkwardness? Anyway, he makes the sauce, and, of course she's got to let us all know that she knows exactly what's happening here. It's the citrus. The citrus is going to be cooking that. And so he tells her that this is the point where she gets to plate it. Oh, seventh heaven, She's over there arranging and putting on the translucent radishes, which she makes a big point of. I love the way these radishes are translucent. I really feel like this adds dimension, and it's so visually interesting. And, she is just in the 7th heaven now that she gets to put big things and have been cut into little things, and she can make her plate, and she can pile up a bunch of stuff and make what looks to me like disgusting heap of raw fish into something beautiful. After they look at all the food that they've made, he says, this looks really good. And let me just let you know, he did all of it. Okay. She did a couple of things. She put the chicken into the water. She attempted to shred with 1 fork, and she tasted the citrus that he made. Okay. And she did remember to put the translucent radishes on top of the pile of raw fish. But all of this was his doing. He came with the recipes. He came with the know-how. She was basically the stick in the wheel to his success most of the time. But he says, this looks great. And she says to him, I know. Thank you. It wasn't like a thank you, thank you so much for showing me how to do this. It was, thank you. Yes, I did do well, didn't I? It was a very weird kind of exchange where she took credit for what he had clearly been doing this whole time, with her gumming up the works the whole way. After she sees him out the door, it's time for her to freshen up because her friends are coming over, right? So the first friend to show up is Tracy. Tracy has apparently been given the permission to come in early to help with the cocktails. She doesn't know when her other friends are coming, Victoria and Jennifer, and it's weird to me that you would be hosting an evening, but you don't know when people are coming over. But you're going to go ahead and make their beverages full of ice. You don't know when they're going to show up, so hopefully that ice doesn't melt and, destroy the work that you've done. But she's got 4 mason jars on the counter because it's, 2005, and we just remembered we could drink out of mason jars. And she is going to make everybody a different margarita for the night because everyone's got different tastes. Now, Tracy comes in. Tracy's the queen of shade. Also, she happens to be Meghan's one token black friend, so we had to give her a couple of extra minutes on screen. Tracy comes in, and she immediately is taken by the presence of drinks and alcohol about to be prepared. She's excited to be here for this. But before they can get into that, they need to stir up a little mahjong drama. Meghan says she's excited about doing mahjong. She's got her mahjong set out. But of course, Tracy brings the shade and says, oh, but I think Jennifer's going to want to use her set. You know, Jennifer is kind of obsessed with her mahjong set. And Meghan's like, mahjong drama. And then they move on to making of the drinks. Meghan says, I haven't pre-made drinks because everyone likes their drink differently. So we'll do everybody's differently. So they start out with the one girl, you know, and she likes hers a little sweeter. And then they do the next girl. She likes hers with grapefruit juice. Meghan makes her drink and Tracy's drink, and they like theirs a little bit more spicy. So they like a spicy margarita, low on the sugar content. And Meghan uses this opportunity once again, because every episode has featured her, you know, calligraphy. And the thing is that Meghan's handwriting is not bad. She just likes to do these swoops on everything. And everybody acts like it's amazing. She's made these little wooden tags that she's going to tie with twine around the neck of the glass, and it's got each girl's name on it. I mean, yes, it's pretty, but really the whole reason we're having this scene is because as Meghan is tying the name to the glass that she is going to be drinking from, her name tag says Meg. And of course, Michael/Brooklyn/director has to interject and be like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen you. Let us in on this. And her friend's like, oh, I know. Isn't her handwriting beautiful? And they goes, no. I've seen her handwriting. I know she's got great handwriting, but the name on that tag. And Meghan's like, wait, what? Huh? What? Oh, Meg. You're referring to the fact that I call myself Meg. Yep. That's me. Who has a nickname for themselves that nobody else uses? What are you talking about? I've never seen anybody on the show who is her friend call her Meg. Maybe she does call herself Meg. Maybe in real life, her real people, maybe her mom, her husband, maybe close friends actually call her Meg. But why is this the first time we're learning of this when the show is all about, you know, bringing us into her inner life with all of her friends and they're cooking and having a great time and no one has ever in the history of the show called her Meg. But this is her next revelation. And don't get it wrong, that's Sussex at the end, okay? So don't forget that part, all right? After they get done with that, the Golden Girls come over. It's a couple of older ladies. They have been invited to be on the show, and Meghan doesn't really explain how they know each other or how they came to playing mahjong, just that it's meant a lot to all of them. They come in and, oh, Meghan, did you do that flower arrangement? That looks great. This food is did you make all this? Yes, and those plantain chips I made yesterday. And, oh, look at this. And these tortillas, says Meghan, even though we never saw her make those. And after everybody just goes goo goo gaga over the food that she's provided, then they, of course, slide this line in. Meghan, when's the cookbook coming out? And that, of course, gives Meghan the opportunity to deny she's ever even thought of such a thing. Cookbook, my land. No, I've never even thought about it. One day at a time, you guys, just one step in front of the other. That's how we live life, right? We just don't try to look too far ahead. Yeah, we know you don't, Meghan. That's why everything's such a failure. This is the opportunity that she has to let one of her friends know that they are a pathetic white lady, because the friend says, as she's eating the food, this is really good and it's not too spicy, which I do think it's annoying when people say that, because what does that mean? That it was too spicy the last time you came over? Like, I don't know. Like, I just think it's kind of a little bit lame to comment on things like that. But then again, what even is the difference? She's trying to be nice. She's trying to say something nice. And Meghan obviously felt the prickle of somebody suggesting that had it been too spicy, that would have been unacceptable, because boring, bland people don't like spicy food. And so she immediately jumps on an opportunity to be like, yes, well, I did try to make it more spicy because, of course, I love the spice, you know, and I've got some chilies here for anybody else who would like a little bit of, you know, a little kick, you know, because I like a little kick in mine. And you could just feel the irritation that she felt towards this older white lady who likes it a little bit more bland. Like, I already let everybody know you were going to be the wet blanket on this spicy show. When I was making those plantain chips, I let people know. I also mentioned it when I was making your drink that you wouldn't want anything spicy in it. And now at the table, you've announced to all of us what a bland barb you are. But okay. But if anybody else would like some chilies, I have them available. You know, it's just, Meghan is the worst. That was the end of the show. After we're done, you know, watching them play a little mahjong, and they say, this is just so fun. We love to bring order out of chaos. And I'm like, if you wanted to escape chaos, you wouldn't be over here with Meghan. But that wraps it up, and that's the end of the show. But throughout this entire episode, we got more of the director than I thought that we should have gotten. And I forgot to mention, how could I even forget it? Because my whole point in this episode is that he's being interjected too many times and she's creating too much of a bond with him to the point that it's distracting from the show. At one point, she goes in the Wayback Time machine to let us know, she's making the banana peppers, she's making the banana chips, she's dehydrating citrus, and she went to the grocery store and she got just some old grocery store flowers full of carnations. God, what are you going to do with that? But she's going to show you how. Now, she did pick up a whole bunch of peonies, but if you can get some like fancy flowers, you can make these, grocery store flowers acceptable. It's like, what? Nobody even sees the carnations with all the peonies and roses everywhere. It's like she's trying to become this relatable person who tells you that grocery store arrangements are something that somebody else made. That was somebody else's idea how to do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it. So you take that arrangement, you divide it, and then you can put it back together with a bunch of other fancier flowers. And it'll be great in the end. And I'm like, okay, first of all, have you ever been to the Trader Joe's section of the flower department? Great selection, right? You don't have to act like all you can find is the $4.99 bouquet of dyed daisies from Walmart. I mean, all grocery stores have a nice selection of flowers. But anyway, she's over here because her big thing is she's going to show you how to elevate the hideous carnation. I think carnations are actually really pretty, especially if you get them in certain colors. Like, yeah, if you want to get a bright red carnation, it's a little bit prom 1970. But if we want to do, some pale pink, like those big carnations, those are really pretty. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and also, who gives a damn if you only can afford carnations, right? Her whole scheme about how to elevate these grocery store flowers was completely thrown out the window when she interjects all these expensive flowers, but says that's how she elevated the carnation that you can't even find in the final arrangement. Anyway, when she's done with this exercise in futility, her little partner over here, the director, has to say, that is amazing. That doesn't look anything like a grocery store bouquet. And she's like, I know. And we did it. And it looks fantastic. And I just want everyone to know that that carnation can still be the star of the show. Look at her. Isn't she pretty? And I'm like, no, can't find her because there's too many peonies and I cannot find the carnation that you were trying to show me how to elevate against its will. Why does this guy keep having to pump up her ego? Consistently, all through the episodes, and so much in this show. I'm not mad about that sandwich. That doesn't look anything like a grocery store bouquet. Constantly having to tell her how good her cooking tastes, how good this looks, asking her questions to get her talking, like trying so hard to make her feel good, to get to elevate her on screen. I mean, you want to talk about elevating, like, Meghan, can we elevate you to something people want to watch? I find it very weird, and I would love to get you guys' perspective of it. And the fact that he is now eating food that she is specifically cooking for him, sandwiches, calling it a manwich, sliding that breakfast across the table to him. You guys, a more flirtatious thing I could not find. That is so flirty. If you are into some guy and you cook food for him, he's putting in your hands. And she knows it. And the way she smirks while she watches him eat that sandwich, I can't. And I'm not saying that anything was going on between them. I'm not saying anything wasn't. But I just think that if I were Harry, I would be annoyed. And if I were Harry and I came on set and if I were Harry and I was watching this series and I saw how many times she depends on this other guy to help her, to bring her to life on screen. And I mean, it's an uphill battle. I mean, it's CPR the whole time and it doesn't look like she's going to make it. But if I were Harry and I was watching this, I would just feel so annoyed. Annoyed that she couldn't do it on her own. Annoyed that this guy was interjecting himself into it. Annoyed that she needed him so desperately and was starting to bring him in ways that she didn't need to. Like, the whole thing would sicken me. And if she thinks that this show is going to bring a burst of life into their marriage, which is what she said in a People magazine, we're better than ever right now. And it's because Harry loves to see me in my passion project. It's like, he loves to see you in your passion project. Does he also love to see you creating an emotional affair with the director? It's crazy to me. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comments. What do you think is happening here? And if you were Harry, would you be bothered? Or am I making too much of it? Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? And really, this is just normal work relations? I don't know. I would hate to see it. If I were in Harry's position, it would bother me. And maybe I'm just a jealous person who needs to get a hold of her emotions, but I would be bothered. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We talk about the next episode. Bye.